目の前に立ちはだかる高い高い壁。
Luck from Black Clover.
その向こうはどんな眺めだろうか。どんな風に見えるのだろうか。頂の景色。俺一人では決して見ることのできない景色。
Also though, I like this statement. I think it's quite indicative of the overall story of the manga, how it's about defying the odds to perform what many believe is the impossible. It's about his character's story, plus the others, and the team at large.
でも一人ではないのなら。
Crazy good example of the dedication to animation in this one right here. So many moving parts in one small frame. I think the anime community at large would completely disown me if I randomly didn't shout out this incredible OP. It's actually one I've been a fan of for years, one of the first that I took the time to listen to every single episode, whereas normally I do skip them. Fantastic song as we all know, but so much commitment to animation from start to finish, always a massive personal favourite of mine. Not just beating us over the head with some emotional backstory and instead making it simply about a love of a sport in which you have a serious height disadvantage and using inspiration and sheer determination to overcome that. And then we have the basis for the main character in the anime. Not running on the spot.
翔ちゃん、ちょっと緊張しすぎじゃない？おのぼりさんかよ。
だってちゃんとした大会初めてだから。
This right here is firstly endearing to his character and how he acts, but secondly is a good example of how some anime take the time to add realism to a stationary screen by adding in these little movements, whereas a lot of the time you'll have incredibly or entirely still characters other than the one speaking. In an age where everyone now uses CGI crowds or draws tiny little heads barely moving, this is incredible levels of commitment to your anime, and this one is full of examples like this in the previous win, just going that extra mile to animate multiple people or keep a scene moving and engaging to the viewer, and I'll be pointing out the best examples of that like right here.
確かに、翔ちゃんのジャンプすごいもんな。任せたぞ。その前にベンチを。
As someone who sadly suffers terribly from nerves, having a main character who is the same always pleased me, as I'm not alone!
公式ウォームアップ始まるぞ。早くしろ。
Either tenure from My Hero Academia.
お前ら、ベンチにも入れないくせに、対戦相手見下せるほど強いつもりなのか。
Even though obviously the start of their relationship is fraught with tension, ego and drama, seeing this side to him was always in my mind a great way to start off the introduction of his character. I'll spin this through, but who does this nowadays? So many movements in such a short scene, I love it! It might be a small thing, but it's such a clever mechanic by which to show the height disparity.
いよいよだ。お願いします。気にしない気にしない。次は声出していこう。簡単に終わらせてたまるか。
Also though, I enjoy seeing the pure enthusiasm oozing from his personality for his love of the sport. Talking about his character being endearing to the viewer, you can't not speak about him creating a boys volleyball club and playing up against a wall for practice. It also goes to show how others see him, since they took time out of their day to try and learn the rules and also come along to help him play at a small tournament. But it's genuinely quite sad seeing him try to get others around him to play or help him out. I'm finding it way more emotional this time, rather than a few years ago when I first watched it, oddly enough.
Koji! Izumi!
Going first person like we're watching an episode of JoJo or something! Although he didn't score, I think seeing him do his iconic jump for the first time is well worth a win. I totally forgot about these mid-ad break segments, probably my favourite from any anime, truth be told. I think another element to this anime I always enjoyed was realism. They never, as far as I could recall anyway, take to doing over-the-top things like bursting through a wall or whatever, like you'd see in other anime. Instead, it's actually pretty well grounded in reality, which I thought worked much better for a sports anime.
まだ負けてないよ。
Determination!
どんな劣勢だろうが戦い続ける理由は一つ。まだ負けていないから。
This is a good moment to show how in sync and of one mind they actually are. Really awesome looking art style change!
お前は3年間何やってたんだ。
なんだと。
やめとけって。
お前はこいつの3年間を何も知らないくせに。
Defending his friend in a very wholesome moment during a sad scene, but really it was about further establishing the work ethic that they both believe in. They just don't know that about one another yet.
しょうがないって。相手全国候補だったらしい。
Non-opportunistic win cliche, a win that makes sense if you've seen anime since.
お前がコートに君臨する王様ならそいつを倒して俺が一番長くコートに立ってやる。
Dude is such a great voice actor for this character. Take one for all of them in general, actually.
なんている。
Not only was that funny, but look at the amount of frames I'm in love! Not much to say about this ED other than obviously it fits the bill of ending every episode with a nice and warm fuzzy type of feeling as they show the crew all together, and it just plain makes me feel good inside, especially with the relaxing song too. Oh, they don't even use CGI for a scene like this!
クソ下手くそなやつ。
Stupidest nonsensical win of the video goes to the fact that I'm 95% sure that that sound effect right there is also heard in the Yakuza game series. I completed the newest one, Like a Dragon, earlier this year and loved it. Huge fan of those games, so yeah, it gets a weird win.
おうおうおう。おめえら勝手に。
Kirishima from My Hero Academia.
いや、ちょっとびっくりしたな。
Ritsu from Mob Psycho 100.
ジャンプサーブ去年は普通の。
Oh, that beautiful art style change.
きっちり正面でボールを捉え。
こんなことじゃ。
This awesome setup for pretty much the entire story overall. Just a simple one, trying to fight to get their team to be the very best like it once was, making everyone proud. I suppose in many ways that's the main aspect, and it's set out really nicely here. That reaction.
チームメイトの自覚って何？どうやんの？
知るか。
入れてください。バレエやらせてください。
God, see what I mean by his character being incredibly endearing? He just wants to play volleyball so desperately that he immediately forgets his beef and panics. I adore him! I think it goes without saying, but I shall go with saying, as per the usual, that she is a big old dose of kawaii delivered directly to the appreciative veins bulging in my arm, you know what I mean?
せーの。ちゃんと協力して戦えるって証明します。
せーのって聞こえたんだけど。
コートの端から端までギュンって敵のブロックの目の前をボールが過ぎて、おい、それ本当に打てんのかって思うんだけど。
This whole scene is a fabulous example of his character's voice acting, just giving 100% to the moment, but also it's great for character building, showing his own burning passion for his role on the court and why it means so much to him.
明日も朝練は7時からですよね。そうだけど、いきなりなんだよ。いや、7時前には切り上げろよ。
あざっす。
This moment always made me like this guy a lot. It just showed how much he wants to help out these lads in spite of his first impression on us the viewer, and of course it's funny too.
コンビネーションを使えたら
Like 40 gorgeous frames followed by a stylistic choice? Haikyu really is a ball of amazing energy.
おー、やっぱ早朝練か。菅さん。おー、いつも遅刻ギリギリのくせに鍵の管理申し出ちゃったりしてさ。大丈夫大丈夫。
For me, it's little moments like this that expertly set up the characters and their personalities, just dropping little bits of knowledge on us that explains how much they know about one another, and then gets us in on the loop at the same time without endless exposition.
一本だけ
おい、
試しに一本な。
嫌だ。
お、明日の朝から俺がトスあげたろっか。
本当にですか？
俺、これでもカラスドの正セッターだぞ。
This scene is really sweet, his teammate offering to help him every day, his overwhelming response of happiness at the offer, that being the first time anyone has approached him to help, and the effortless degree that the animators go to make the scene look as good as possible, such as the wind effects.
君らが初日から問題を起こしたっていう1年
Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. Also, their interactions and training as a whole throughout the past few minutes of the episode can get its own win for how it's building their relationship and teamwork whilst also slowly letting us in on them as people. Again, just really nicely building characters, and even though they're totally at odds with one another here, it's really interesting to see how they build a friendship over time as we scrape the surface of their personalities here, but later deep dive on them as they help one another with their struggles. Very rare but all the same beautiful looking scenery shot.
一歩。
One of the absolute very best saves of these early episodes, perfectly placed for a realistic return, and this is coming from someone who trained to do volleyball back in his early 20s.
相変わらずよく飛ぶな。あんな状態から打ち上がった。
Take one more for the end of this episode for a genuinely great episode full of character building. I think a lot of people sometimes forget that there's a lot more to this anime than sports, and that's what makes it great.
月島くんってば、もうボーンとすりつぶせ。
That was beyond perfect. Goodness me.
まとめて点稼いでやる。
大地さんの武器は安定したレシーブだ。守備力は半端ねえぞ。
突出した才能はなくても2年分お前らより長く体にすり込んできたレシーブだ。簡単に崩せると思うなよ。
It's little moments like this during their matches which really should be highlighted because they are what inject story and character building into the games themselves. Otherwise you'd absolutely run the risk of doing awesome storylines outside of matches and then it all falls into sports during some episodes and it would quickly become a little one-dimensional. By doing this, the mangaka forces the story to first and foremost focus on the characters, and then of course the story and the sport is a very close but still secondary factor.
この間から突っかかりやがって。王様のトスってなんだ？
I always enjoyed how they dealt with the net as well. It's very logical and doesn't detract from the scene as a result.
相手のセットポイント。トスを上げた先。そこに誰もいなかった。
Doing just about the best emotional storyline within the confines of volleyball that you possibly can. Enough said.
俺にはちゃんとトス上がるから別に関係ない。それよりどうやってお前をぶち抜くかだけが問題だ。月島に勝ってちゃんと部活入ってお前は正々堂々セッターやる。
Hinata is awesome, just like so many other pure and straightforward characters in anime, like Asta from Black Clover and so on.
影山いるぞ。
I think making that a miss was ideal for the moment because it solidified his point that he will be there to receive the ball every time he wants him to. He's not going to be alone on the court anymore. He can rely on him.
人には向き不向きがあるんだからさ。君、明らかにスパイカーに向いてないでしょ。
確かに。
His reaction is amazing, but the team captain's is great too, just staying out of the way because he knows that whilst it is indeed tense, they're working through their problems via this.
そのためのセッターだ。
何す
いいか打てないならかわすぞ
Not gonna lie, it's always gonna be worth a win when something like this happens for the first time. The first time he stands with him side by side as teammates and works with him. He has some of the best one-liners. Loved this. Sugawara is one of my favourite secondary characters because he's kind-hearted by nature and wants to help others in such a calm and caring way, even though he has his own issues, and this scene is very indicative of that.
こいつこのタイミングこの角度でよし
That is so incredibly awesome. Another unique spike on that!
ジャンプする瞬間からスイングするまでの間日向は目をつぶってた
Then the equally awesome revelation that he actually managed to do that with his eyes closed. I actually forgot about that.
目の前に立ちはだかる高い高い壁。その向こうはどんな眺めだろうか。どんな風に見えるのだろうか。
Just another fantastic example of mixing the sport with the story and their characters and teamwork. It's really what elevates sports anime to be more than a simple genre in all honesty, and I'm here for all of it.
日向も普通の何倍も動き回ってしんどそうだわ。でも楽しそうだ。何やってんだ。1年でも。
Haikyu does such a stupidly good job at team building with such unique personalities on display. How they're mixed together in interactions is just really appealing to me as a fan.
バレエの経験はないから技術的な指導はできないけど
Levi Chen! Dun, 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 dun.
俺は日向と影山のあの攻撃が4強相手にどのくらい通用するのか見てみたい。
Cracking good example of what I spoke about before regarding him, that he's very good to support his team, even if it might mean him missing out on a game. He's just a super selfless dude.
今回は俺自動的にスタメンですけど次はちゃんと実力でレギュラー取ります。
いや影山は俺なんか眼中にないと思ってたから。
I totally forgot this moment even happens, and it really speaks volumes about him as a person that this occurred to him.
お前何先に食ってんだよ。ふざけんな。おいあれんども店の前で騒ぐな。
Massive shout out to this character voiced initially by Kuzunari Tanaka, who sadly passed away back in 2016. He also did a voice for Code Geass, the rebel on their team always shouting about everything, and he also did a voice for the amazing Persona 5. Rest in peace, man, and as odd as it sounds, I'm so happy to be able to go back during videos like these and pay homage to those who sadly passed away, keeping their memories alive, if that makes any sense. Nice little rundown for people not familiar with the game, just giving a basic understanding of positions and why they matter.
だから日向自信持って
俺頑張ります。いっぱい点取って大谷もやって絶対すんげえ大活躍して。
日向よ、お前が履こうとしてるそれ上着だけど。
Classic example of this anime's excellent use of comedy from time to time.
沢村。
おう道宮
Oh, so very much kawaii!
おい日向食いもんやるぞ。お前何その顔。
Yup. As someone who gets nervous, yup. Although I've never thrown up, I remember when I went and did my interview to be a police officer and did scenarios and a written essay, and other than throwing up, that's exactly how I felt.
中さんすみません。
いいっつってんだろうが。そんなことよりおめえは大丈夫なのかよ。
Massive props to him just being a nice guy and not giving him a hard time about having thrown up on him just speaks to his character. In fact, this is one of the rare anime where I pretty much love everyone from the main team.
ああ、影山っすか。別に大したことないっすよ。
Saitama from One Punch Man.
期待してる。
Oh, that's so good.
どんまいどんまい日向落ち着いて周りも見ていこうな。
すみません。
こいつ完全に飲まれてる。
And this right here is a prime example of a previous win discussing how story and character comes first and sports second, as the issues being dealt with are immediately apparent and dealt with.
あ、やばい。手にちゃんと当たってる。
That. Beautiful display of helping a member of their team, especially what Tanaka says to him in his own way, that he can rely on his senpais, and that even made me feel more relaxed, and I'm just writing the script.
今みたいなのちゃんと打てなきゃ王様が怒り出すよ。
ひなた悪い。今のトス少し高かった。
Character growth. I'm loving me some character growth. Plus a funny little bit after that.
田中ライサー。
はあ、なるほど。点を取ってサーブ権を獲得するたびにローテーションが回っていて
Again, just really nicely filling those new to the sport in on why the team is moving around, how serving happens, and why players end up in different spots as it goes.
どっちもざまあ誇られてやんの。
何ニヤニヤする。影山やめろ。
I just love comedy like that. Just the sheer notion that he saw him chuckling away and ran over to do that makes me laugh way more than normal jokes.
で、よかったですね。
うちはお世辞にもレシーブうまいとは言えないからな。サンキュー。
See? It's comedy like that that often gets me. Them just constantly saying victory and moving back and forth. Like that just makes me laugh more than most normal jokes in other anime.
バッチリです。もう通常練習も行けます。
Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. Stunningly good looking animation on that forward jumping serve right there, plus a little extra art style change to really drive home the impact. Awesome!
おい、こら大王様。でも狙え。取ってやれ。狙えよ。
大王様。
みっともないからわめくなよ。
なんだと。ネットのこっち側にいる全員漏れなく味方なんだぞ。なんて素晴らしい名言。
Hinata's showing his kindness right here because even if he hates him, he dislikes seeing someone basically being targeted and bullied on or off the court, and so tries to get him to aim at himself instead.
完全にブロック振り切る。このチビなんで。
ボールだけだ。
For this, they can absolutely take the very first maximum 2-wins award of the video for a highly deserving series of events. First of all, the animation continues to be on point, but the biggest factor in play for the reward has to be the twist that Hinata reached an unexpected defensive position and then turned it around to quickly head to the opposite side and spike it over. That was nothing short of glorious. Also, as another standalone win, they can take a fresh one here for them winning their first ever match. It wasn't predictable, it was as always filled to the brim with action and twists, and it's what makes this anime one of the very best for me.
出たな大王様。
なんだこら。
何の用だ。
やんのかこら。
やんのかこら。
That's so good, it's ridiculous.
インハ予選はもうすぐだ。ちゃんと生き残ってよ。俺はこのクソ可愛い後輩を公式戦で同じセッターとして正々堂々叩き潰したいんだからさ。
Setting up what is essentially the next arc of the story in a really clever way with the introduction of a new character and the threat of the rematch. Okay, that one is basically my favourite, and it would be stupid not to point it out and issue a win for it.
っていうか、影山ってなんでカラスノにいるんだっけ？県内一の強豪つったら、やっぱ白鳥沢だろ。
Sometimes I love things like this in anime where everyone is chilling and relaxing together, and this anime does it great, really setting a feel-good vibe for their chats as they hang at the store or on their way to school and so on.
負け惜しみはよせ。カッコつけて言っても無駄だ。
違いますよ。カッコもつけてません。
Why is he always attacking Hinata? A perfect introduction for this character, and stand by for the super quick reveal of his voice actor's famous character.
俺より小さい。てめえ今なんつってこら。ごめんなさい。
Bakugo-chan from My Hero Academia.
いや、俺がカラスノに来たのは女子の制服が好みだったからだ。すごく。はあ？それになんつっても男子が学ランだからだ。黒のな。
This part of his character is scarily similar to me in my high school years. Not gonna lie.
教えてください。西野谷先輩
練習の後でアイスをおごってやる。なんつっても俺は先輩だからな。
Just like immediately and seemingly without effort making this character incredibly likable. Plus, it's one of the voice actor's more placid roles, which I always enjoyed.
飛び方なんて関係ねえだろ。
でも
お前のおとりのおかげで誰かのスパイクが決まるならお前のポジションだって重要さは変わんねえ。
Oh, such good team building in this anime.
西野屋も謹慎が解けて戻ってくるんだ。
そうか、よかった。西野屋が後ろにいてくれれば心強いもんな。
Reiner from Attack on Titan.
信頼して。でも
潰されたんですか？
ある試合で朝日のスパイクは徹底的にブロックに止められてさ。
Again, I've said it before, but it's worth repeating. Haikyu does an outstanding job of creating emotional type moments without the need to go over the top right off the bat. Oh, it's because it was his dying mother's wish for him never to play volleyball again or something. Instead, it's reasonable and it resonates at the same time.
けど俺も試合に出てこのチームで勝ったら朝日さんいなくても勝てるって証明になるみたいで。
Learning the genuinely lovely reason why he refuses to play without their ace in the team. I had forgotten why, but hell, that's worth a win. It was unexpected.
こいつのトスがあるからどんな高いブロックでもかわせます。ブロックが目の前からいなくなってネットの向こう側がバーッと見えるんです。そんで一番高いとこでボールが手に当たってボールの重さがこう手にずしっとくる感じ。
For such a simple premise, that being the striking of the ball during a spike to the other side of the net in order to score a point, that is a pretty poetic way of describing the event and how it makes him feel.
ボールの重さがこう手にずしっとくる感じ大好きです。
知ってる。よく知ってる。
Outrageous that made me borderline emotional, bruh.
ゴールデンウィーク最終日に練習試合なんだ。
ゲットなんだ。おい逃げるな。だってお前怒ると怖いんだもん。
How hilarious is it that he was going to try and enact a little escape in such a random area right there?
あの限られた時間の独特の感じ。あの場所のあの時間にしかない空気みたいな。
That's also kind of a crazy poetic way to describe fond feelings of the past and not wanting to sully it by revisiting it in a different kind of capacity. I tell you, the mangaka and the animators really have a way with words.
まだバレエが好きかもしれないなら戻ってくる理由は十分だ。
Symbolism is rampant throughout the early part of this season.
けどもう一回俺にトス上げさせてくれ朝日。
All of the characters are so likable and have such great personalities and backgrounds.
西野屋の頼もしさは相変わらずだ。なのに俺はふらふら戻ってきて成り行きだけでまたコートに立ってる。
It's funny how by using moments such as these, it can almost make us feel like we were actually involved in the story before the start of episode 1. Like, that's how it feels to me. I find myself agreeing to sentiments and statements that begun before the start of the season, you know what I mean?
すっげえドンピシャなトス。
This.
次は決まるかもしれないじゃねえか。あんたが勝手に諦めんだよ。
Now the reason's clear why keeping the broken broom and not throwing it out meant so much to Sugawara. I think it was about hoping to eventually repair the schism which appeared between these two and in their team in general that day. I think the broken broom was basically a metaphor for their team, or at least for these two. Let me know what you guys and gals think though.
俺に点は稼げない。俺は攻撃ができない。でもどんなにスパイクが決まんなくたって。
Also though, take another win for that music. That's lovely and fits the scene to a T.
お前だって拾っても点に繋がんないなら虚しいだろ。やめろ。西野屋はそんな風に思うやつじゃない。
I feel like this too deserves a win because it does happen so many times in life that you carelessly say things that you really don't mean in the heat of the moment, and that's exhibited great here. Also, it's good to see how he got suspended too. It's so awesome how so many players in so many different positions get their shining moments like this, because of the build-up throughout the episodes and enthusiasm from everyone on the team talking about their respective positions, and then when it happens, it honestly means a lot to you.
島田さん、すごー。もう一本。
God damn, that was awesome!
頼もしい背中の守り、俺のための一番打ちやすいトス。
Man, that just reminded me of Hunter x Hunter where it happens, but right here it's full of emotion and really gets me fired up. They can take a massive 2 wins for that well-deserving and incredibly well-done moment of greatness.
大さん。
Dude, how madly wholesome is it to see this guy so overwhelmed and consistently happy just to see his old team members back together on the court again. Look at him, he's so overjoyed.
レシーブは全体的にまだまだだな。
Whilst it can make our job harder as English speakers watching a Japanese dub, it is definitely rare to see an anime in which multiple conversations take place at the same time, and that's to its credit in terms of realism, I think.
Nice, Hinata, Kageyama!
I swear I never get bored of seeing people's reactions to his spikes for the first time! Also though, credit to the extremely limited use of CGI throughout the entire first season. As far as I can tell, it's literally just on the ball. Dedication!
Hinata! Hinata!
Not only was that funny, it said a heck of a lot about the ace to be so concerned about having hit him in the face. Dude is a nice guy. Everyone in this anime is amazing. It's stupid. I love stuff like this. It's so damn simple but so well done. It hypes me up, it's well animated, and I adore seeing their reactions to it all as well. That's a great added element that always keeps me engaged too.
お前のおとりがあるのとないのとじゃ、俺たちの決定率が全然違うんだぞ。
それでもお前は今の自分の役割がかっこ悪いと思うのか?
He really did, as a character, come such a long way in such a short period of time. It's awesome to witness, and it's equally as awesome knowing how many other great moments come across the next few seasons. Hopefully, in an ideal world, I'll be able to witness them all again in this series of videos. By all means, if you love this video and want to see Season 2 and more covered, use the link down below to head to Patreon and vote it in. We had a massive JoJo crew get Stardust Crusaders squeezed in, then more and more joined to pressure through Diamond is Unbreakable, and finally Golden Wind. Now it would be interesting to see if there's a hidden Haiku crowd out there.
無回転で打つことでボールの軌道がブレるんだ。急に曲がったり落ちたりな。
Again, totally forgot that this was a thing, but it's used to tremendous effect later on as a unique attack in the game.
くっそー、すまんひなた。完璧に俺フリーだったのに。
It was always worth giving this game to the other side. They needed the win, and that's just expert writing and storytelling right there by doing that, because it takes into account numerous factors like who needed the win from that side, what people learnt from the winning and losing sides, and how long people will actually be able to play before moving on from the school. Take one more here for the final minutes of the episode and for the episode in general. A really nice feel-good ending, seeing the entire team back together again, filling me with pride even though we've never seen them all together before now, which is crazy to make us feel that way, and just a fantastic episode. Loved that. You really got to appreciate how the montages aren't really montages in this one. A bit like Demon Slayer, they just animate through it instead, where so many do still images over music or whatever.
清水は家近いから、用事終わったら帰っちゃうよ。
何やってんの君たち?
They didn't even do it just for laughs and then reset, standing up like normal. They really did just collapse at the thought that she's not staying there with them.
野安さんの身長が縮んだ
確かにおめえは髪の分まで身長だぜ。
けど菅原も今までやってきてるわけで、他の連中からの信頼もあるだろうし。
This is a good time to also shout out all of the effort that has gone into reflection since the very first episode. Yet more dedication! And this is exactly what I was talking about just now, where the player's time left is a sad factor that many take into account. Feeling guilt over picking a first year because they may be better, knowing that your third year only has so many games left until they leave.
何してんの?
Oh my goodness, it's baby Eren-chan the third!
好きになったらもっと楽しいと思うけどな。
どうせ高校の間やるだけだし。
ポジションとかへえ、なんかうちのセッターとは違うな。うちのはもっとガーって感じのやつ。
Hinata is incredibly likable. Not much else to say on that.
どこの学校？
ケンマ、
Bucciolati!
君らの言うヒョロヒョロのチビとは俺たち猫マの背骨で脳で。
That's a crazy amount of detail on one person. Quite fitting given that he's voiced by a JoJo character too.
正セッターじゃなくても出ることは絶対に諦めない。そのためにはよりたくさんのチャンスが欲しい。名前聞いてすみません。
This side to him. We've already talked about how kind-natured he is, but it's good to see that drive and passion in him, reignited recently. Just keeps his character from being one-dimensional. Actually tracing where he's writing onto the pad. No one does this really.
お前たちにも負けないように頑張りたいと思うよ。だから改めてよろしくな。
Even a moment like this ends up being quite touching, even though they're really secondary characters. They're like thirdendary or something, but it's still really well done.
うちのセッターに何の用ですか？
うちの一年に何の用ですか？こらなんだこらやんのかこら。
Oh, so much this. Absolutely this.
正直言って俺たちは顔を合わせたばっかで。
Seeing everyone in their uniforms is pretty cool. I think I never really noticed it much the first time around, but it is a big deal, and those colours are just synonymous in my eyes with their team.
強いのは俺じゃなくてみんなだから。
It's a small thing, but I like how his eyes are like that of a cat, and I suppose it's fitting that Hinata spends so much of his time airborne like a crow. Yup, the reaction never gets old. It's so fast, and then we get that sweet, sweet reaction goodness. Squeeze me out another glass, I've got a taste for it. This whole conversation is a fine example of injecting story and tactics into a matchup. It just slows the pace a little and allows for certain characters to shine and for us to get nervous as plans are built. Haikyu does this really nicely all the time and should be praised for it. It's just excellent pacing.
ナイスチェック島。
こいつ賢いやつだ。レフトだよ。やっぱりよく見てた。
No time is wasted, nothing is pointless. It's actually really fast-paced by all accounts. It keeps things moving so fluidly and helps make the game more tense and action-packed as a result.
昔から自分から友達とか作れた試しがない。
I'm always ready and willing to receive some backstory goodness, and I'm surprised to find out that it's actually Baby Eren-chan III that came up first in this anime. Just carefully setting up his character, and I'm loving it. I can even have some seconds. I think I have room for it.
セッターである影山が圧倒的才能でデコボコのチームをつなぐのがカラスのなら、セッターであるコズメを全員のレシーブ力で支えるのがネコマ。
Interesting that they set up the teams with unique selling points too. No one team is just super good across the board from what I recall. Instead, it's about unique players and their abilities and how the team works together, and that's a massive plus of the anime, as it really does keep things interesting.
お前のトスとあとなんかの工夫で打ち抜けるんじゃないかって思うんだ。だからもう一回。
Imagine finding a way to work a JoJo type situation in a sports anime like this. By that, I mean where you find yourself in the seemingly impossible situation and have no idea how they'll find a way out of it until they suddenly do, and that's obviously what they're building here. And I can't recall what it is, but I'm here to find out and win it in about a minute. And there it is, the way out of an impossible situation, albeit incredibly hard to enact. I'm just hyped about this as I remember when I finally managed to do it in badminton. It was a great feeling.
ブロック吹っ飛ばした。そいそいそいそいそいそいそい。
Yes!
チャンスボール。
I swear I never realised before just how often poor old Hinata takes the ball directly to the face.
通さねえぞ俺。
行け
叩け朝木
また拾った。
呼んでいる。
これがつなぐということだ。
Take another 2 wins here for circumventing what I thought would happen, that being a third game after going 1-on-1. I totally forgot that they lost this match, and that's worth a win. The second win, maxing it out, is due to how long that went on. So many shots back and forth, and it made me nervous. That was simply awesome.
次は全国の舞台。たくさんの観客の前であまたの感情を渦巻く場所でゴミ捨て場の決戦。
Just going ahead and putting a really nice finishing touch to their battle as friendly rivals. It was kind of touching as well as he talked about his old actual rival retiring and kind of losing a friend in that regard, only for him to come back and then sadly get sick and collapse.
俺にはまだハードル高い。なんだお前、結構いいやつだな。
Take one last win here for a crackingly great episode and 13 episodes in general. The end of this one was just really feel good with the team bonding with one another, and it set up a rematch down the road perfectly. I just really enjoyed writing this script more than I thought I would. I'm loving being back with this anime, and I look forward to doing the second half soon as well. Thanks so much for watching. I really and truly hope that you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it, and naturally a like and a comment would be amazing. Plus subscribe if you're not already so you don't miss out on the second half when it drops, and of course I'll see you in the next video. Nathan Byrne, Bird Without a Word, Tyler Warner, PK Fan, Ali 50, Ryan Anderson, Isael Caldera, Mr. Waffle 64, Kieran Robinson, Chris Harris, Yona Shkal, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Kim Munt, Jason Davies, The Element Taylor Wars, Manuel Morales, Carnito, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Blitzcloud, Sebastian Ramirez, Horror Keeper, Jeffa 6263, Magnus, Kevin Melter, Aniki Curve, Brendan Krier, Kaj Vorzelman, Jordan Samuels, Sean Graves, The Epic Commander, Crimson Shadows, Kyle Farmer, Adora Blue, Matthew Fitzworth, Sentimento, Gaten 2000, Maki San, Storm 970, Hinakami and Water.